Major funding for these programs is made possible by grants from Chase Commercial Term Lending, New York Community Bank, Capital One Bank, Perfect Building Maintenance, M&T Bank, Customers Bank, Genova Burns, Terra CRG, Meridian Capital Group, Wyckoff Organization. Additional support is made possible by AKA Hotels Corman Communities, Aerial Property Advisors, AVR Realty Company, Bank of America Merrill Lynch, Bank Leumi USA, Briarwood Organization, CBRE, Citizens Bank, Colliers International NYC, Collins Building Services, CPEX Real Estate Services, Cushman & Wakefield, Dime Savings Bank of Williamsburg, Douglaston Development, Levine Builders, Eastern Union Funding, Fisher Brothers, First Nationwide Title Agency, Flushing Bank, Friedman, Handler Real Estate Organization, HAP Investments, Hersha Hospitality, Hodges Ward Elliott, Inc., Investors Bank, James D. Kuhn Real Estate Center at Syracuse University, Kilroy Architectural Windows, Madison Realty Capital, Matone Group, Mercantile Commerce Bank, New Banks, Newmark Grubb Knight Frank, Optimum Window Manufacturing Corp., People's United Bank, Rosewood Realty Group, SJP Properties, Sterling National Bank, Stonehenge Partners, TD Bank, The Continuum Company, The Moynihan Group, and these friends.
Colombia? Medellin? Jesus Christ, superstar? Nah, I'm going to leave Colombia. I've gone around Europe. I've gone other places. I'm going to go to Canada. I'm going to go to Montreal. I'm going to go to Dawson College. I'm going to study engineering. Nah, I don't forget engineering. I'm going to be a designer. I'm going to get involved with designing supermarkets, other things. I'm going to be creative, but if I'm a designer, there's only one place to be, New York City. I'll come to New York. The Gretsch Building? Maybe that's interesting. So I have this leading designer today, this Colombian-born, Canadian, my friend, Andres Escobar. Thank you for being here.
My pleasure, Michael.
So tell me about your parents and how they ended up in Colombia, because they were both from Spain originally, right?
Yeah, my great-grandparents moved to Colombia, and I actually found later my father's family actually comes from León, Castilla and León. And
so the great-grandparents came from Spain to Colombia. Any idea what years?
I would say early 1900s. And then my grandfather was a merchant.
This is your grandfather from your father's side?
Correct, from my father's side.
He was a merchant?
Yeah, he brought the locomotives to Colombia, the electric locomotives, the coal locomotives.
He wasn't a merchant, he was a major industrialist.
Well, given the fact that it was in the 1920s, actually, he was a very important individual.
So he brought the locomotive to Colombia?
Yes.
And that was on your father's?
On my father's side.
On your father's side. And how about mom's side?
On my mom's side, there were more cattle ranchers in the flatlands close to Boyacá. It was actually between the Andes and Venezuela and Brazil.
So how did the cattle people meet the locomotive people?
There is a town called Sogamoso, which is the town where my mom's family settled. And my father, when he was appointed, later on he was a senior vice president of a very large smelter company, and he was adjacent to the town. And the people that worked doing the secretarial work or that sort of work, they were people from the adjacent town. My father was an engineer that came to run a department within this company. And
he met this interesting woman.
Met this interesting woman. who happened to be my mom. And he went into the career that his father had started, which was related to the trains. So my dad became one of the directors of the Ferrocarriles Nacionales de Colombia, which is the trainways of
Now,
Colombia.
when we got together, you told me that later on, your family moved like into a compound. I mean, the business, the community, the company that he worked for, they had a corporate campus or a...
Yeah, that is correct. That is actually the town of Belencito, which Acerías Paso del Río, the smelter, had set up for all their professionals. So they had basically brought geologists, engineers, doctors, metallurgic engineers, mine, when I'm talking about coal mine, and to develop all the know-how and the technique to be able to produce the iron. And so they developed this town. They did their own hospitals, their own club, their own infrastructure, their own police force. So it was like a gated community, and they actually created their own sports complex where there was tennis teachers, where there was...
This sounds a little bit like where the Roush companies created something in Washington, in Virginia, a number of years ago to put all their companies over there. They took a very large mileage of acreage and they built a planned community. And this was really a planned community.
Very much so. Very much so. And we grew up with... my friends were sons of Swiss people, Americans. I remember one of my father's best friends was from Milwaukee. Some of them were from Arkansas. And they were all different sorts of professions that were, part of this whole conglomerate.
Now you told me that when you were growing up, you traveled also a lot. Because your father was educated at the Sorbonne in Europe.
Yeah, we traveled extensively, and we used to travel within the country and outside the country. And my father's family groomed us, not only my father, by my uncles and everybody else, they educated other children abroad. So we actually were, when we came to age, we were either sent to a different country or we were asked if we wanted to go study somewhere else.
Were you educated abroad?
No, I came.
No, I'm not talking about 18 years of age. I'm talking before you came to Canada later on.
No.
So what happened when you were 11 years of age with this Jesus Christ Superstar movie?
Well, it was a movie that actually made me change my whole outlook on life. I thought it was very
You
sharp.
had an epiphany?
Yeah.
Now, what was the epiphany?
I don't know. I like the whole aspect of Jesus Christ, that he was kind of like free and rebel and his long hair and fun.
So you decided at 11 years of age not to cut your hair again?
Yeah, I was the only kid in a private school that had long hair.
What did your parents say about this nonconformist kid?
Obviously, they didn't like it, but my dad, given the fact that he had gone to school to France, he was somewhat more, let's call it, liberal. My mom was a little bit more conservative, and in fact, even in today's, when I see her, she says to me, "You haven't cut your hair, honey." I said, "No, Mom, not yet."
Now, when you were growing up, did you want to follow in the footsteps of your dad, who was an engineer?
I think initially everyone does, but I never really felt that was my call in life. I dabbled with different things, engineering, medicine. I didn't know quite what I wanted to be, because you get mixed signals. It is the society kind of like puts that pressure on you, and by default you wind up doing perhaps something that you don't necessarily want. I think that I consider myself very fortunate that I went my own way, that I decided on my own path.
Does your mother still live in Colombia?
Yes, she does.
And what about brothers and sisters?
One of my brothers in London, England, and my other brother just relocated from London back to Colombia, and my sister always lived in Colombia.
So how does the kid from Colombia one day decide to go to, I don't even know how you found Dawson College in Montreal?
Well, the whole idea was that my dad had this idea that Andres should go to Paris, because that's when his friends were, that's when he did his doctorate degree. And he wanted me to go to Paris and to go to school in Lausanne. And I just didn't want to go there because it was my father's idea. So I came in, I came up with the idea that I would go to a place where they would speak French and English, and Montreal sounded like a great place. And I said to my dad, what about Montreal? He says, okay, do the paperwork
you
and
know
go.
what? But at that time, you had no facial hair. We have that picture of you from Montreal as a student. You know, the hair was long, but there was no facial hair. Was it when you met Bella?
A little after.
So how'd you meet Bella?
I was actually in a park, and I saw a girl that I liked, and like a good Latin American, I went to talk to this person in a language.
She was Portuguese.
Yeah, we dabble in different languages. She kind of understood a little bit. I could have understood a little bit. And then she basically was instrumental in teaching me how to speak English.
So when did you meet Bella?
1980.
So that is 36 years ago.
That is correct.
So you're a student at this time, and at that time you were still studying engineering. So what happened? What made the change from engineering to interior design?
I think that I met with, there were a couple of really interesting and very cool professors at the university. I was actually at a university called Concordia University. And I went to talk to an academic advisor, and he was very frank and honest and says to me, do you really like what you do? And I said, not really. He says, why don't you go into something a little bit more creative? I said, well, I don't know what's creative, because the stereotype that it gets created in your mind when you live in South America is that if you're not a doctor or a priest or an engineer,
A priest, Jesus Christ, right?
Of course. And so he says, try it out. And I tried it out, and I loved it, and I excelled on it. And I told my father, listen, I'm switching to this career. And he goes, oh.
When you were living in Montreal as a student, did you work, or did you only go to studies?
No, I worked. My father-in-law helped me out quite a bit. I mean, I worked in construction sites. I used to carry cinder blocks at the beginning. Then I used to help demolish. Then for a while, one summer, I actually was cutting with a carbide blade these terracotta tiles in a scaffold, you know, eating dust and everything else. And the temperature was like 70.
Now you said to me your father-in-law originally, he later on went into the schmata business, as you said to me.
No, when he came to Canada, he went straight into the schmata business. Because in Montreal, in the early 60s, it was a needle trade city. And there's a lot of fabrics and materials. Eventually, these trades totally disappear when it started going to abroad.
So how did he get involved with the restaurant, where you were working in the restaurant on Sundays? You told me.
Well, I think that the whole idea was he wanted to find a methodology to moving out of the factory area, and he went into this restaurant, and he had a very successful Portuguese restaurant that it was basically more like a social club for Portuguese people. And on Sundays, he needed somebody to help, to go open the doors, buy the bread, make the sandwiches, so on and so forth. So I used to
Taste the wine.
Taste the wine, yeah, of course. And I used to start very early in the morning. I used to go open up. I used to prepare, set everything up, and people would start trickling in like around 9, 10 o'clock in the morning, because they will either, we're going to church, and there's various hours when people go to church, either 9 o'clock or 10 o'clock or 12 o'clock, and in between, the husbands who didn't want to go to church will stay there and have a drink or have something while they were waiting for the
So
wife.
that was one of your part-time jobs.
Yeah, and I loved it.
So when you finished Dawson, you said to me there were certain people who were instrumental in helping you out in the design business in Canada. Remember the people?
Yeah, sure. I mean, most of the people, by pure coincidence, most of my friends were in the Jewish community. How? It just happened. And
remember Jesus was Jewish first.
Yeah, of course, 100%. And my very good friend, his name is Michael Sniatowski. Mikey used to say, you got to come and play volleyball with us. So we used to go and play volleyball. And everybody that was playing volleyball with us actually was the son of the owner of some sort of business, whether they were general contractors or developers or realtors. And these people eventually became instrumental of my business started with them.
Right. You were saying that you were, one of the families was involved with the supermarket business, and you got involved with the design of the supermarkets, the interiors of the supermarkets and the
Yeah,
hypermarkets.
yeah. One of the families actually was a very instrumental, very forward-thinking family in Quebec, the Steinbergs family, and they own a supermarket chain that it was extremely successful, founded by Sam Steinberg, and very large family, the Steinbergs, the Dobrings, they decided that they were going to also go into shopping center development because they will become the anchor of the mall. So they build these malls. They will put a Steinbergs in one end. They will find another anchor, and then they will run the retail business.
So what do you do for them? You design what?
For them, I designed the largest and first hypermarket. What I mean by hypermarket is typically the supermarkets used to be 10 to 15,000 square feet, and they emulated a concept that existed in Europe, which was a much larger surface, 45, 50,000 square feet.
Like the superstore, the Walmart.
Correct.
Superstore.
But they did it a little different. They used to be called the marché du jour, which means the daily market. So the idea was to have separate, almost like going to a real market where you actually find the best bread, the best fish, the best cold cuts, and then they mixed all these with clothing, and so that was the beginning of sort of like that.
So you're in Canada at this time, and then you also did some work in Europe, didn't you?
Well, it wasn't natural because since we speak several languages, and I was working on the supermarket end of things, they were very large players in Europe, specifically in Switzerland and in the Netherlands and in Belgium. And we did a couple of concepts for these people, utilizing the knowledge that I have acquired through the Steinbergs.
When did you decide to branch out into New York?
I think it was just purely coincidental, and actually, and it was Carl Fisher, architect, a friend of mine, who was instrumental in introducing me to the New York market. Carl had a project in Williamsburg where they were kind of like running a competition, and he asked me to.
It was it wasn't a landmark building, but it was an old restored building, right?
It was a factory. It was a guitar factory, the Gretsch Guitar Factory. And Carl had gotten the mandate to reposition the building, to convert it into a condominium. And he invited me. He felt that I had the flair to do this kind of job, and I was fortunate enough to win the competition.
So that is what, like 1998?
Late 90s, early 2000. The actual building was concluded
2001, right?
Somewhere around there.
Right, but then, as we were saying, it's great to be in New York, but Brooklyn is Brooklyn and Manhattan is Manhattan. What happens with Manhattan?
I never really understood the market that well. I thought that Brooklyn was Manhattan. To me, New York is Brooklyn, New Jersey, Manhattan, and so I had done several projects in Brooklyn, both in Williamsburg.
Right, you did the hotel, one of the small...
No, I did actually a very large project for the Hudson Company for David Kramer, called the J Condo.
J Condos, right.
In Dumbo. And parallel to that, I did several little projects. And in my mind, I just had accomplished incredible, amounts of work. And I was asked to quote on a project downtown in Manhattan.
In Battery Park City.
In Battery Park City. And one of the lenders or one of the financial institutions said, well, okay, can we go see some of the projects that you've done in Manhattan? I said, well, I've done the Gretsch in Gretsch in Williamsburg, 60. And the J Condo in Dumbo. And they said, no, we want to see some projects that you've done in New York. I said, unfortunately, I don't have one. So that taught me a very good lesson that I needed to have some projects in New York.
So how'd that happen? So where was the first Manhattan project?
Well, coincidentally, Carl Fisher again became sort of like the savior. So Carl introduced me to a project called 59 John Street on John and William.
Right, this was an office building.
That was an office building that was going to be converted into a condominium. And it was very successful. And that kind of like set the whole path.
People consider Jersey City the sixth borough. how do you, the Canadian, or should we say Colombian Canadian, end up in Jersey City with Jefferson?
I think at the very beginning, the market was very receptive, and the brokerage community was in the infancy of their marketing structures within the companies. When I'm talking about Corcoran Group, I'm talking about marketing directors, I'm talking about these kind of companies. Now, some of them were very pleased by the work that I have done on these projects in Brooklyn. And they basically introduced me to the developers who were doing these projects. When I did my first large project in Jersey City was 50 Columbus. And it was for a company at the time called Applied
Development.
And I dealt with David Barry, who was a very phenomenal guy. And they were partners with a family called the Panapinto family in Jersey. It was a very successful project. And again, the sum of all these projects become the process of getting further and further into the business. Once I had concluded several of these projects, then there is a certain respect that gets built in the market, and people start asking who did this project, and then it developed into.
What is your specialty in design? What do you love to do?
I love to do hospitality. I like to do hotels, and the reason why I like to do hotels is because hotels have a very particular market. They're all niched. Some of them are looking for business people.
Oh, are we talking about the interiors? Are we talking about the walls? Because one hotel which I love that you were involved with was the Jade. The characteristics by putting the bricks, by putting the windows over there, that it blended into the neighborhood on West 13th Street in Greenwich Village.
Well, projects have a life of their own. And in this particular project, I work with Will Obaid, who's the person really behind the whole concept of that particular building. And Will was very engaging, and we brainstormed, and we really wanted to be a respectful building that speaks about Greenwich and Greenwich Village, and that it respects the neighborhood. The mandate that he gave me is, Andres, I wanted to feel like it's an institution. It's been here forever. When somebody walks into this hotel, I want to feel that it's been here forever. The other thing that he had mentioned at the time, part of the mission was he wanted to have a certain influence of Art Deco architecture, whether it was the lower facade, whether it was the lobby, the elevators, the restaurant, the rooms. Basically, everything was done on this particular project.
So what other hospitality are you involved with today?
Well, we're doing a couple of renovations of hotels, one on 55th between Park Avenue and Lexington. It's called a Concord Hotel. We're finishing a hotel, a full-service Holiday Inn in Schemahorn in Brooklyn, adjacent to the Barclays Stadium. We're working on 2 hotels at the Hudson Yards, one in Marriott, the other one in El Loft. We're working on the AC Hotel by Marriott near the LaGuardia Airport, and we are doing a combo A-Loft Element Hotel near John F. Kennedy. So we have several projects on our plates.
You're like a commuter, aren't you? You spend 3 days a week in New York and 4 days a week in Canada, or is it vice versa?
No, it is like that, but basically the 3 days that I'm in New York are Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, which is actually the main days where business really happens in New York City. Most of the real businessmen, they leave on Thursday evening, and they come back from Connecticut or from
the beach.
From the beach on Monday evening. So Tuesday to Thursday, perfect.
Now, but in order to keep your design approach, everything, is that you've always stayed in hotels, right?
I've always stayed in hotels, and I have traveled extensively all over the world, and by understanding what's happening in the world allows you to to get influence and to be able to understand what makes people tick. So, for instance, we just concluded a hotel in the Seychelles Island, which is a 5-star resort hotel, completely created from zero. I mean, the client gave me a mandate and we did it, and it's beautiful and it's operating. It opened about 8-9 months ago.
Let's talk about 2 other things in your life. Let's talk about Bella and your kids. Tell me about that.
Well, Bella is the person that actually helped me become who I am. She's a very, very comfortable individual in her own skin, extremely supportive. I never really got any sort of aggravation because I had to travel, or I get a phone call and I have to pick up and go, whether it was to Europe or it was to New York City. She accompanies me several times.
And the children?
The children were taken care of by Bella. I mean,
and their names?
Joshua, the eldest.
Joshua is doing what now?
Joshua is working on construction, and Corey in Canada. And Corey, the young one, he's turning 23, he is in Manila, Philippines, teaching English. He's been there for 2 years.
And something new, the LeMay Group. What's this? Your new involvement?
After being on my own for close to 25 years, I felt that there was an opportunity to join a much larger group, a group that would allow me to do a different type of scope of work. The idea was mainly for projects abroad, like in Dubai or in that area of the world where you actually get asked, or in the Caribbean, where we could actually provide services such as master planning, full architecture, full interiors. So we are all a complement to each other.
Right, it's a collaboration is what you said to me, right?
Correct.
So, and LeMay is headquartered in Canada?
LeMay's headquarters in Canada. It's among the 100 largest firms in the world right now. And
in the design business?
In architecture, design, and planning, yes. We're a total of 350 people in the team.
So, it's been an interesting travels from Colombia to Canada. It's like the seas, but New York City is not. New York City is the headquarters of the world. And I'm happy that you are making a mark on the headquarters in the world with your design and all your projects around the world. So thanks for being here today.
Thank you very much. But New York, I'll tell you, is my favorite city in the world. It's the best platform anybody could hope to have.
Thank you.
Pleasure.